And the telco industry is helping to build a carrier-grade, integrated, and open-source reference platform. And the NFV community has successfully adopted open-source software that for carrier-grade deployments. So, what are the next steps to create an ecosystem of NFV platforms, applications, and management and orchestration systems? Here to talk about OpenStack evolution is Ildiko Vancha. She's the ecosystem technical lead at OpenStack. And Ildiko, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, it's good to have you. I want to start off by talking about really your role at OpenStack. You said in our sort of pre-conference interview, there's a wide range of areas in the ecosystem. In your role at OpenStack, can you explain that range to us?
Yes, of course. I started at the OpenStack Foundation in August last year. I became the new ecosystem technical lead, and this is a quite complex role in the sense of that we successfully built a quite large and very interesting ecosystem around our community. And my job is to help the ecosystem to succeed with OpenStack, to use the software, to successfully drive their products and initiatives based on OpenStack and within OpenStack. And in this sense, I'm involved in, for example, onboarding activities, like helping new contributors to come on board and find their way and success within OpenStack. And I'm also discussing with companies that how they can successfully participate within the community, both from, for example, working groups perspective, or yes, code contributions, or just really providing feedback to our community that where we should try to put more effort into. And one of my main focus areas within these activities is NFV.
Ildiko, I want to ask you about some of the primary challenges in the NFV and the telco space regarding what you do at OpenStack. What are some of those challenges?
I would say that most of the challenges are not particularly telco or NFV specific, although that segment is really sensitive to those. I would mention, for example, upgradability. Because, for example, in a telecom environment and in a telecom system, it is really important to be able to do rolling upgrades without any service downtime. I think everyone is, or most of the audience who will watch this video is familiar with the 5 nines, which is a strict carrier grade requirement. That kind of means that the service outage cannot be more than 5 minutes per year. So it's really important to address, for example, upgrades so that the service providers can go through moving from one release to the other in a smooth and more convenient and automated way. Another thing that I would like to mention is interoperability. Because if you just look into a service provider's system, there are bits and pieces from everywhere. So they have one hardware vendor, they have another vendor who provides a cloud-based platform for them, and they have most probably multiple vendors who are delivering VNFs into the system. And this whole stack, this whole package has to work together in a smooth way. You need to be able to deploy it. And you also need to be able to operate and maintain it, and then come to the point when you just try to do an upgrade and put the whole thing together again in a working way. And this is really not trivial, but we are focusing on these things. And this is where new hot topics and technologies are coming into the picture. For example, containers. Which is really one of the focus areas. For example, my team as well. We are continuously trying to look into how to accelerate the collaboration between the different communities and segments of this industry to make it a success.
Ildiko, at your last OpenStack Summit, you had a demo that showcased OpenStack in a carrier-grade environment. Can you describe for our viewers the results of that demonstration?
Yes, that was a great demonstration. We were like really fingers crossed that everything will work out fine, and it was really, really great. We had a bunch of servers on the keynote stage, so really the whole thing was live and actually physically there. We were running a 4G mobile system on those servers, and OpenStack was the carrier grade platform under this 4G mobile system, and we had a live call from stage, and the demonstration was about to show collaboration between OpenStack and OPNFE, in the sense of showing that how OpenStack evolves and improves from the carrier grade perspective. So we pulled out cables from the servers, and for the first attempt, the call was dropped because the connection with the VMs failed. And for the second time, we turned on a few services like alarming in the system. And for the second call, just to really make a really amazing show, we not pulled out the cables from the servers, but actually cut the cables with a really real and huge scissors. And the call was still ongoing and continued. So we were able to demonstrate that OpenStack can serve as a carrier-grade platform under a mobile system, and it can fulfill the requirements like those 5 nines I was mentioning earlier.
Ildiko, you mentioned OPNFE, and for our viewers, that's the open platform for NFE, and it plays a big role in really moving NFE forward. Can you describe what OPNFE's primary function is and how it plays a role?
Yes, OPNFE is really just a few years old open source community, part of the Linux Foundation, and their primary mission is to build an integrated open source reference platform to accelerate the adoption and evolution of NFV. And within this platform, OpenStack plays a key role. It serves as the parts of OpenStack serves as the NFV infrastructure elements, and it also plays the role of the virtual infrastructure manager. So it is really a key component to have this full stack running. And as for OPNFV, the community members there are working on to build and integrate this platform in an automated way, really just from purely open source components. And they are also working on to test it and to do gap analysis. So with many representatives from the telecom industry and NFV companies, they are trying to collect a list of features and requirements that are still missing in order to be able to support the productization of this full stack and to move to the next steps of the evolution of NFV.
Ildiko, can you give us some examples of maybe some contribution or collaboration for OpenStack from the service provider or the vendor communities?
Yes, of course. Personally, I've been participating in OPNFE from almost the start. So I'm glad to say that we have some really amazing collaborations going on, for example, with that community. I can mention, for example, OPNFE Doctor, which is a fault management project. And this project was demonstrated in that demo in Barcelona that we were just talking about. And that project is working closely together with OpenStack Vitrage, which is a root cause analysis service, and OpenStack Telemetry, which is providing monitoring and metering and also alarming services. And for example, that was really a key to be able to perform that phone call on stage. So they are successfully gathering requirements and introducing new features into OpenStack's code base. So it is actually a multi-layer collaboration in this sense, because the OPNFE project members are discussing the requirements and collecting feedback from the OpenStack side that how the features can be implemented, how we can close those gaps. And then they are also moving forward, and together with the OpenStack developers, they are making it happen. So it's not really a handover, but really a collaboration on every level. And further projects like we have OPNFE Promise working together with OpenStack Blazor to provide resource reservation services, or for example, Congress and Copper for policy management and so forth. So we luckily have a list of projects covering different areas within OpenStack to make the software package more ready for NFV and to onboard VNApps on top of the platform. And just to mention a few more examples about collaboration with the telecom and NFV segment, we have, for example, two working groups within OpenStack. One is the large contributing OpenStack operators group that is mainly led by AT&T, and we have several companies on board supporting this activity, like, for example, Intel, Mirantis, Huawei, NTT. And the goal of this working group is to focus on a few features and themes, like, for example, I was mentioning upgrades, but another example can be, for example, security, tenant isolation, SDN integration into the platform. So there are several topics and areas where they can closely collaborate and mainly help our community to understand all the needs that those areas has or have, and to make the feature implementations a reality. So it's again a multiple layer collaboration. One is to understand really the requirements and what is needed, and the other layer is to see that where it fits into the code base and how it can be achieved. And we also have another working group, which is the OpenStack Operators Telecom/NFV, and this working group is focusing more on the already running production environments and the feedbacks from there, what issues they are facing with, what bugs have to be fixed and prioritized in order to have their production environments more stable, robust, and resilient.
Ildiko, there's a lot of activity at OpenStack. We appreciate you giving us your insight into some of those activities, I'm sure we'll be talking very soon. So thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.